Welcome to my channel, KnittaCass Creates. I'm Cassie, also known as KnittaCass. You can find me on YouTube as KnittaCass Creates, on Ravelry as KnittaCass, and on Instagram as KnittaCass16. I'll put some links below or in this corner here. I want to talk a little bit about some of the things I've finished, some of the things I'm drooling over, a new skill that I'm learning that I think I hinted at last podcast, and my new pattern is going live probably in a couple weeks, so I'm pretty excited about that. And I had a really fun photo shoot with my daughter, so I will get into that a little bit more later, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of heads up what we're going to be doing. So go ahead and grab your favorite beverage. I am a Pepsi drinker. You can grab your coffee, your tea, whatever you want to drink, and come join me. So first of all, I'd like to start with my finished objects. So this one has been a languishing whip since last summer, I believe, and I haven't blocked it yet. So it technically starts in this corner here, right here, and then it comes out a little bit from that corner and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as it goes. This is, oops, let's see if I can lift it up a little bit higher. My dotted raised shawl. It's got those nice little eyelets in there. So I started this with two colorways by Bobolink yarn, which was in our local yarn shop. And one of the colors I think is called Social Distancing, and the other one is 6 Feet Apart. So this one that's mostly white with purple and blue. I can't remember which one's which. That's one of the colors. And then the other color is where it starts to turn kind of white with a bunch of like peach, pink, orange colors. And then this one on the bottom, this really bright color, is my color that I created with a dye kit that I got from a KnitCrate. And I did it with, I did it with Kool-Aid. And so it was like a cherry Kool-Aid and like orange Kool-Aid, I think. And I called it Blood Orange Margaritas, which was my favorite drink I was introduced to last summer by my mom at one of our campfires. So there's that finished object. And I was hoping by the time I podcasted that this would be a finished object. So these you've seen 100 times. These are my Blood Orange socks. I have them in one of my little Ipsy bags that my mom gave to me. And so this sock number 1, has been finished for quite some time other than leaving in the ends. Excuse me. It's a shorty with an Afterthought heel by Curvy Wurvy. And then here is the other one. So I think the tension's different. I did last week during the Super Bowl, or 2 weeks ago now, finish the foot and then finish the toe. So I was pretty proud about that, and then I forgot about it. And so I have started the Afterthought heel here, and it's pretty neat what you do. So you knit the whole sock in a tube, and then you figure out where you want your heel. And your heel is going to measure the same amount as your toe. So when you make your toe, you're going to measure how much your toe is. And then you know that that's how much your sock is going to grow, like an extra whatever this is. So let's say it's a little over an inch. So I know that this heel is going to take over an inch and make the sock grow a little. So I know that I wanted it to start right here, and you pick up the right leg, and then you pick up the right leg, and then you cut your yarn, which is pretty scary, and pick out the yarn and start your Afterthought heel. So hopefully these will be done. I wanted them done today, but maybe they'll be done later. And then I got, let's see if we can show it off here. This is a stitch marker made by the Corner of Craft, and it is after Bernie's mittens that he wore at the inauguration that everybody went crazy of. So his mittens were made out of recycled sweater, and they were handmade by a friend of his who actually ended up selling them, and then some people ended up raffling some off and giving it to charities. So this is my Bernie mitt made by the Corner of Craft. It's my favorite stitch marker right now, and I have it on here to show the beginning of round. let me just put that back. Okay, so there's that. So hopefully that'll be a finished object. I have it in the finished object part so that I can hold myself accountable to finish it. And then I have 2 mittens done for my pattern. This is called the Eggnog Bliss mitts. And I did show you a little teaser in the last podcast. This thumb's being a little funny. So my favorite part about it is that braid cable on the bottom. And then it's got this nice quilty texture that reminds me of just like fluffy snow. So those are finished. They're knit with some fingering weight yarn and some mohair, which gives it that little halo there. And I have written up the pattern. I've done a photo shoot, and my pattern will be ready soon. So I'll insert some pictures over here that show a sneak peek of my pattern title page and some of the fun photos we took. And I believe that is it for finished objects. So on whips, I have a lot of whips. So this is technically a whip, my Blorange socks. And then I have in my kitty cat bag by NSP Designs, Crinkle Crinkle. And I did show this on the last podcast. This is my Stardust sweater by Hoard Designs. And it's got this nice pink color, and then I have this mohair with it. And I was hoping they were a little more matchy, but they're not. So it kind of gives it more of a vintage look. And this is the design panel. It is absolutely stunning. I can't wait for it to be finished so I can wear it. It's going to look so cute. Pink's my favorite color. Of course, I have this all crooked now. There, that's a better picture. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I think it's going to take me a little while. And with my luck, it'll probably be done like when it starts to be pretty hot. But there's always those cold nights with the fire, so hopefully I'll wear it then. And then I'll have it all kind of broken in and comfy for the winter. So there's that one. And then I have my next project in this butterfly bag, and it's by JoyInTheStitches. And I have my summer sock camp pin on it from Kay of Crazy Sock Lady. And then I have a little peppermint coffee mug stitch marker or progress keeper, and I believe that is from Simply Serving. So I did show a sneak peek of the pattern. This is a fingering brioche bandana cowl, and I have chosen a red color that's been kind of hanging out. I have 2 balls of it, and it's kind of furry. I think it's Surrey alpaca. It's pretty soft, and it's a little bit darker, more of like a, there we go, that's what it looks like. So I've got that colorway, and then I have my blood orange margarita colorway, and so that is what I'm making on this bandana cowl. And this is what it's looking like so far. It looks a little crooked because the way I'm holding it, and I think I fudged a stitch on the side, but it's working for me, so I will take it. And so this is brioche knitting, which is new to me. I'm pretty excited about learning it. I had to take it out 7 or 8 different times before I got it. And this really nice lady named Erica, during a Zoom meeting, gave me some good tips, and a couple other ladies weighed in. And I was having trouble when I picked it up knowing if I was on a brioche knit round or if I was on a brioche a brioche purl round. And she told me that you can start to read it once you've done brioche for a while, but if you're new to brioche, what you should do is always finish after finishing a brioche purl, so that every time you pick it up, you know you're going to start with a knit round. So I've been doing that, and it's pretty neat. So brioche will make this side pop out, so some of the stitches are a little more forward than the rest of them, and then on the inside is the opposite that pops out. So that's pretty neat. It's kind of like you could have a reversible hat or a reversible cowl, and once you get this down, you can make some really cool designs with increasing and decreasing. there is a pattern that a lot of my friends are making called the Scrappa. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. So it's a cowl and it's made with brioche, and it looks kind of like a vine towards the top of the neck. It's so gorgeous. So one day. So that is my bandana cowl. Hoping to work a little bit on that this weekend. What do I have for whips? No. I have 2 or 3 designs in my head. I've started sketching out one of them, which is going to be a sock design. And I'm going to knit it on this really fun colorway. This is a colorway from Dragon Hoard Designs. And I've had it for quite a while. I was trying to make a pattern. I was trying to follow a pattern knit, and it just wasn't showing up with how different the colors were here. So I want to use it really badly, and I am working on designing a pattern, so I thought I would try this. So coming soon, there'll be a sneak peek of a sock pattern. I plan on starting the cuff today, and I was using this Progress Keeper. This is the little gingerbread man, and this is also from Simply Serving. And it's on my 9-inch, I think it's Chalgo. Yeah, 9-inch Chalgo. 1.5, size 1.5 or 2.5 millimeters. And that is also, because I'm just using a lot of Ipsy bags, also in one of the Ipsy bags from my mom. Yes. So, acquisitions. So I have pre-ordered stitch markers from, I think it's Simply Serving. I might get that wrong. I'll have to look it up, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct it with like a little word bubble here. So it is Harry Potter, Hermione, but because of trademark issues, it's like the smart girl or the wizard with the freckles, something like that. Like she has cute little names, so you know exactly who they are. So I ordered Hermione, Ron, Harry Potter, and I can't remember if I ordered Luna Lovegood or Hagrid because I was going back and forth. So those will be coming soon. I'm super excited. They'll be like a little clay figure Progress Keeper. And then, what else do I have? I have something else coming. Can't remember what it is. Oh, and I also bought, so I've been drooling over, a lot of people have those in their yarn room. They have a lot of nice like open shelves that have all these different squares or sizes, and I have been drooling over one that I think is a 12 square, so it has like 12 different squares, and it's a black shelf, and I want to be able to put my yarn in it and have that be my new background for my podcast, and also so I don't forget about the yarn I have and hopefully use it more. And then this is one of my most exciting ones. Oh, excuse me. So this is the rose covered cage mitt set. So you've got 2 colors here. One is like a Merlot, and the other one is got like a purple green gray with speckles of maroon, gray, green. It's super, super pretty. This colorway is called Ritual, and this colorway is called Unbroken. But the best part about this set is she teamed up with Lock and Lou, and it came with this stitch marker. There we go. And this is Court of Thorns and Roses. This is the first book in a series, in the Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah Moss, who is my favorite author right now. And this is the first one in a series that I super enjoy. There's some excitement coming because there's another book that came out at the beginning of February. And so this is the first one. It looks exactly like the cover of the book, which is pretty exciting. And Dragon Hoard yarn has a pattern that looks like a rose covered cage. So these are designed for that. And this could be your Progress Keeper. And then while I'm on the topic of that, I got the new book. So I pre-ordered it and had to wait and wait and wait. And then it came to me. Oh my goodness. I can't remember if it came to me on the day that it was released or if it was a couple days later, but this is Court of Silver Flames. by Sarah Moss, and this is, I think, number 5. Let's see here. So there's A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and then this one. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A Court of Silver Flames. And I couldn't find my bookmark, so I am using the book cover jacket. And I just started this a couple days ago. And if I could read it every time I wanted to read it, I would probably be at least halfway through it. But I keep reading it at night and falling asleep. And then also on the topic of books, I'm still reading Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. It really hasn't picked up speed, so it's kind of something that I just read periodically. What do you need? Well, I'm going to have to cut it out anyways. Okay. I don't remember where I was.
Yeah, don't pay attention to me.
Yeah. That's hard to do. Yeah, so...
funny looking.
Yeah. Okay, so Ready Player 2. I am still reading it. It hasn't really picked up, and it's kind of a slow read right now. I anticipate that it'll pick up because the first book was really slow, and then once it got going, kept going, and it got really, really good. So I've kind of just been reading it like, oh my goodness, reading it in between clients or while I'm cooking dinner, just like little snippets that don't happen very often, and so I'm not getting very far. I am still listening to Crescent City. I think I'm on chapter 60 something, and I'm so glad I gave it a second chance. It's also by Sarah Moss, big surprise, and it's really good. It has really great character development, of course, and I'm able to follow it better. I'm not sure if it was just because I was reading it tired or if it, I don't know, maybe because I'm using my imagination more by listening to it, but it's really good, and there's like a little bit of a mystery going on in it, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And every time you think like, oh yes, this is it, they figured it out, it's like, plot turn. And that's happened 3 or 4 times now. So I really want to know like the who, the what, the why, and I cannot put it down. Well, obviously I'm not reading it, but like I'll sit in the car to finish a chapter. I'll purposely space out some of my visits so I can have a little bit of time to listen. I listen to it when I'm eating my lunch. So that's going to be really good. I don't know how long it'll take me to finish it. So in terms of pattern design, my Eggnog Bliss mitts will be out in the next couple of weeks. It'll be on Ravelry. I will include the link. Well, I'll probably the next time I podcast include the link because it's not a link yet. And I'll give a little sneak peek, like I said, of the photos that we did. The photo shoot was really great. It was really fun. My daughter's just natural at, she's just naturally pretty, and she's natural at just taking photos. She takes really good photos. She's very photogenic, and she just took a photography class, so she helped me with a little bit of like the best time of day to take a picture, like with the sun, and then also like some ideas of like contrast for the background, and a couple other tricks. So one of the things she did was I wanted her to hold a snowball, and so she did, and she humored me for a little bit, and then she started throwing the snowball up in the air, and it was making these little like magical snowdrifts come down. And there's a couple of photos. My cover photo will actually have this in it. There's a couple of photos that are just absolutely gorgeous. Like that was just the finishing touch it needed. Like it gives you this, well, at least it gives me this like magic feeling looking at it, like, wow, that was the photo. And then I'm also going to I'm designing a sock design, and I think it's going to be Shine Bright socks, but I'm playing with it a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about that, but I don't want to share it quite yet. It's still in kind of the raw stages. I'm using a program called Stitch Fiddle to try to like map out the stitches so I can make the grid for the pattern. So that's actually been a little bit of a learning curve too. Like everything that I'm doing for patterning has been a learning curve. My mittens took me several different revisions. I had to like rewrite it different ways so people could understand what I was thinking. So I've learned a lot, and I think I'm going to continue to keep learning as I play with patterns and keep designing. So that's exciting. And then I'm also hosting a class this Saturday and next Saturday for Down with the Dishes. We're going to be making some dishcloths. This week it's going to be pretty simple, like knit, stitch, purl stitch, and knitting it row by row in like a rectangle, or excuse me, in a square with nothing fancy. And then for those who have been knitting a while, if they want to make a fancy, I'll have a couple different options. And then next Saturday during the class, we'll be making a mitered square, which you can use for dishcloths for several patterns, and it's just kind of makes it more fun than going row by row. It gets really boring and kind of monotonous. And also a mitered square can be used in a lot of patterns. It's used in a lot of shawl patterns. It's used in the cozy blankets pattern. So having that skill down if they haven't done it or they need a refresher can be really helpful to apply it to other patterns. So I'm doing that, and then I also have class on Sunday. It's starting tomorrow and next Sunday, and it's going to be Knit This. That will be an intro class to knitting and really focusing on casting on and knit, purl, and then once there's a little bit of a comfort level with that, or if there's more advanced, kind of learning how to do combining stitches, making new stitches, decreases, increases, and playing around a little bit based on what the what the participants are bringing to the class and how much of a challenge they want. So it'll be, I'm curious to see like where we'll be at and what people are interested in and kind of where their skill level is, and helping them really just figure out what they want to make and feel more comfortable where they can start to venture out and make things beyond, like a washcloth, which is great, scarves, and maybe get brave and do a cozy or start a blanket or a sweater if they're really feeling like it, or a hat, and really just encourage people who are a little skittish or new to knitting to be able to feel confident enough to really take it forward and keep practicing and keep making things. Because the coolest thing that has happened to me is I started very, very basic, and I spent Christmas Day just playing with the stitches, and I was messing up the purl stitches. I can't even tell you how I was doing it, but I was doing it so wrong that it just like it wasn't working. It didn't look like the pictures I was comparing it to. And I think several days later, I figured out what I was doing wrong. And then I just knit like rows and rows and rows and like made a scarf and made a couple washcloths. And in the beginning, they were a little funny looking. And then I remember when I first started knitting hats, I went through this craze for like a whole year where I was knitting hats. And the first hat, I slipped a couple stitches. I didn't know how to fix it, and I thought, oh, it'll be fine. But if you miss a stitch and you don't fix it or you don't catch it, it does pull backward and it'll make a hole, kind of like a run in your pantyhose. So it had several holes. Some I was able to fix, some I wasn't. And my daughter was a really good sport and put it on her head and let me take pictures of her. And looking back, it's just a really good reminder of how far I've come, because the more you practice, the more you do, the better you get at it, the better you feel at it. Just like anything else, just takes a lot of practice, and it's not as scary as you think. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I think I want to start crochet. I've been really curious about it. My mom used to crochet blankets all the time when I was a kid, and I see these people crochet all the time, and they're just like flying right through it. My sister is amazing. She makes just about anything with crochet, and she finished a couple washcloths, a scarf, I don't know, like a crazy amount of things while we sat and knit for just a couple hours. And then within the last week and a half, she has made this, it's like a poncho, but in a shawl fashion, and it has a big oversized hood. So it's pretty cool. And she got the yarn and just started knitting, and she finished it like, very quickly. I think in terms of like knitting, she said she watched like a documentary, and most of her progress on that project was just during that documentary, which just blows my mind. So that's pretty exciting. If she's okay with it, I might show a picture of it. If not, then I apologize, but just know that my sister is amazing. She also makes jewelry. Oh shoot, I was gonna put a pair of her earrings in today after my shower, but I totally forgot. So she makes guitar string earrings and they're amazing, and she's super creative, and she has a lot of different aesthetics. Like she has her own aesthetic, but I have a very different aesthetic, and she's able to find ways to make earrings that stay true to her aesthetic, but also something that I enjoy. She's a little more creative and really into like crystals and stones, and I'm more kind of like a boring, straight Jane kind of person who likes a lot of pink and a lot of like, look at me pizzazz. So I'll put a couple pictures in of my most recent earrings, and I'll put a little picture of her business card so you can see that. So she's pretty awesome, and she's creative, and she just blows me away. And let's see. I think that's it. In terms of like personal life and what's going on for me, I've been doing a lot of growth with work. So I have been seeing 9+ people a day, and I'm able to do it. I'm pretty efficient. I go in, I'm really focused, and I get it done, and I'm still able to talk a little bit. But I'm constantly like rushing from house to house or apartment to apartment, and then go home and have hours of charting. And so I was putting in more than a 12-hour day, and this is supposed to be a job where I'm working traditional hours and can have more family time. So it hasn't been working, and I've been getting really overwhelmed and kind of like drowning in the work and feeling just burnt out. And so my bosses actually, they're pretty amazing. They pulled me aside and talked to me a little bit about, sticking to my guns, being able to triage and figuring out, who do I absolutely have to see and who can somebody else see, or who could, you know, um, skip a visit or be seen later in the week. And my problem is I always feel like if I don't see them, and I'm like letting them down or letting my boss down, and I want to do everything and fix everything. And these are good qualities in general, but they're not sustainable qualities. So I had a really hard time like listening to them tell me that. I kind of felt offended and like just really upset with myself. And then a couple days later, I shared that with my counselor, and he gave me some hard knock lessons on how like I need to realize that I'm not the only one who needs to do things, and that I need to let other people take responsibility. I need to let my clients be able to have room to exercise their wings and work on the skills that we're working on, and tracking their symptoms and managing and learning about their condition. And that I don't need to handhold them through every process, and I don't need to feel like I'm letting them down when I'm giving them opportunities to stretch and do it themselves. And so the last 2 weeks, I have just been seeing 6 people, and I have been able to do some charting during the day and finish charting at home and be done by dinner time. And sometimes a little bit earlier, and I'm feeling better. I have more energy. I don't feel defeated. I don't feel like a failure. And my clients are fine. They're being seen, or they're rescheduling their appointments to a different time in the week, or they're starting to feel like, hey, like I'm actually ready for discharge. And it was really scary at first to know that they were going to be okay. And now that I know it's okay, and I'm feeling better, and I'm able to actually spend time with my family, I know that it's really important to honor these boundaries. And so if you're one of those people who is trying to do everything, or feels like if you do less than what you're doing now, or you don't do more than what you're doing now, that you're letting people down, just take it from me. Everybody's going to be okay, but you're not. If you keep doing that, you're not going to be okay. You're going to burn out. You're going to feel like a failure, and the feelings just snowball. And it's just no way to live. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. So take care of you. Make your boundaries clear. Stick to your boundaries, and you will feel better about it. And you will be able to be a better person for your clients, your family, your spouse, you'll be able to sleep better, you'll be able to feel better, and it's super important because another thing, if you draw those boundaries, like say with your friendship or your spouse, your boss, your coworker, and you make it clear that these are your boundaries, you get a lot more respect. Like a lot of people are afraid that they'll make people upset, or there'll be a repercussion, or they're being rude, or seen as being a bitch. But it actually gets you a lot of respect and it takes care of you. It's hard to do at first, and then once you do it, there's so many rewards that just keep coming in. What else is going on personally? My kids are growing like weeds, which I know is normal, but usually they do a lot of their growing in the spring and the summer, but they have all grown quite a bit this winter, which has been kind of exciting to see. And I think by the time spring and summer comes, they're pretty much going to need a new wardrobe, or at least for the summer clothes. And my husband switched jobs. He now works in Vermont locally, so he's not gone all week long, and he comes home at night, and sometimes it's before dinner and sometimes it's after dinner, but it hasn't really thrown our routine off, and the kids have been enjoying having him home. I've been enjoying it, and I don't feel like all the responsibilities are on me anymore, and it's been really great. So I'm really enjoying that. My bearded dragons are growing like crazy. My eel is fine. Leopard gecko is like, I think she's full grown and she's kind of sassy. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm really hoping for some sunshine and being able to get out more. And I know it's not gardening season yet, but I'm definitely starting to think of like playing in the dirt and gardening, planting my seeds, making my raised flower beds or garden beds, cleaning off my porch, sitting on my porch and reading, sitting in the sun, laying on a blanket. Like, I'm so ready. And so that's keeping me going and making me a little excited. Spring supposedly is right around the corner, even though it doesn't feel like it. We've been pretty lucky. So winter in Vermont is usually really hard. You get a lot of heavy snowstorms, you get blizzards, sometimes you'll get a power outage, and it can get really cold, like very below zero. So we've had not quite, like maybe more than a handful of really heavy snowstorms, but shorter lived and less amounts of snow. We pretty lucky around here. We haven't lost any power this winter, and we've had a couple weeks where it's been below zero. I think the coldest was 15 below. That was pretty cold. But in general, like in terms of Vermont, it's pretty lucky. And I have been reading and seeing these posts from people down south that, especially like Texas comes to mind. So they have been having snowstorms and it's been really cold, which they're not, obviously used to. Like I think one lady said it was 3 degrees. She had never seen that there. And their setup is a little bit different. So we have fail safes for our pipes so that in the winter they don't freeze, they don't burst. And down south, they don't have to think about that. And so they've been having burst pipes and flooding in their houses. It's been pretty scary, pretty devastating. I feel very bad for anybody who's, going through this rough time right now. I wish I could kind of take the snow back because, not that they're not able to handle it, but the societal norms and the way we build our homes are different, and they're down there without electricity, without heat, some of them without water, and they're cold, and it just makes me feel so bad. So hopefully that'll fix soon. They've been having rolling blackouts, so they've been without power quite a bit, and it's been really challenging for them. So every time I complain about winter up here, I feel a little guilty. So I do wish I could kind of, wriggle my nose or blink my eyes and bring all that stuff back up here where we're used to it and let them kind of recover and have their normal lifestyle, electricity, water. It's so important. I think that's it about that. Yeah, that's it for life stuff. I did talk a little bit about mental health with your boundaries and taking care of you. And so I hope that you have a nice project to enjoy, or some podcasts to watch, some family time, and doing something to fill your cup. That's my nurse's order for you, is to find something to fill your cup today and do something for you to make you happy and take care of yourself. And I will see you next time. Bye.